Let's get some insight into all of this from political analyst John Griffing, who joins us live on the programme. John, always welcome. During the hearing, Peter Strzok said the Republican case against him is, quote, another victory notch in Putin's belt. Is he right?
Well, of course not. It's utterly absurd. This is hyperbole of the highest order. This man needs to have a sense of humor about the fact that he violated the FBI code of ethics. It happens. Political bias can seep into an investigation. He needs to have just done the practical thing, stepped down, gone for whatever kind of agreement or plea bargain he can, and stop making the country listen to his whining about how starting an investigation with an assumption of guilt isn't a violation of our Constitution and our laws. It's absurd.
A key part of the evidence against Peter Strzok relates to private text messages between him and a senior FBI lawyer. I think the name is Lisa Page. In one of them, he says, quote, "We'll stop Trump winning the 2016 election." How incriminating is that?
Well, when you imply that you are abusing the powers of an investigation, not only to presume guilt without even sufficient evidence for probable cause in a normal hearing, okay, but he's also saying in that text that he's willing to abuse the investigation to stop the legitimate election of a president. Now, that seems more like Democrat-Obama collusion than Russian collusion. What do you think?
John, we've got about 30 seconds. The testimony descended into a bit of a farce with Democrats and Republicans shouting at each other. Do you get the impression that this is just a partisan battle between the parties with little to do with Trump or Russia?
Well, and look, I'm an American first and a party second, but this started with Democrats that had sour grapes. And look, I understand people who don't think Trump is the best president. Okay, that's a process that we call elections, and there's another opportunity to elect someone different. But doing something like this because someone is in office that you don't like and destroying the tradition of America's standard in the eyes of the world as a peaceful transfer of power, it's really sad, it's tragic, and I hope we can get past this.
John, thanks for your time this hour. Political analyst John Griffing live on RT International. Yeah, it does lead to a lot of questions, this. Let's try and answer them with media relations consultant John Griffing live on the programme. John, welcome as ever. Regardless of support or not of political processes, I would expect the Portland Mayor's instruction to police to not protect ICE employees to be in breach of the Constitution. That must be correct, no?
Oh, you think? Equal application of the laws, the 14th Amendment, really just the spirit of any democratic country. The United Kingdom doesn't have that written, but equal application of the laws came from Lord Blackstone. I mean, this principle is so basic to Western society that the mayor would say that is deserving of immediate removal and prosecution.
But how does that play out? Is it going to be endless court cases over that, do you think, now?
Look, what we're going to see right now, if you've been paying attention to the United States, there are upwards now of 30,000 plus and counting federal indictments, and many of these people are believed to be VIPs. Highest number of congresspersons not returning to seek re-election since 1992. It's unprecedented. So there's going to be a law and order response to this, and I hope for the sake of peace and stability and our country, just our country, what it represents.
Yeah, because either side is not backing down here, John, are they? Just how united is your country right now?
The major corporate networks only show you the extremes. So we don't actually get to see people agreeing on the street. We don't actually get to see all of the times that I have had lunch with Democrats and we've actually found common ground. It's America, it's a country. We're Americans, and if we can just remember that and keep telling ourselves, maybe we can stop the violence.
John, thanks as always for coming on the show. The views of John Griffing, media relations consultant.
Well, let's discuss this further with our guest now, John Griffing, media contributor to To delve a little deeper, Mr. Griffing, thank you for joining us on RT International. What do you read into Trump's latest statement? Are you buying his claims that he misspoke?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Trump always misspeaks. He's a ball of oxymorons. Trump has a habit of giving us two different answers simultaneously.
He's taken such a barrage of criticism since yesterday's press conference with Vladimir Putin. Do you think he's been treated fairly?
I think he was very magnanimous in the press conference with Russian President Vladimir Putin. I was refreshed to hear him admit the shortcomings of our intelligence agencies. It's not been many years since Iraq, when the same intelligence agencies deceived the entire world. So I'm happy that he made those statements. I'm very frustrated that he has backpedaled that, but that's Trump. That's what he does. He's done media for years, long before he became a politician.
Do you think there's anything that Trump could do now to calm the situation?
Well, nothing seems to stick to Trump. I mean, he's practically Teflon. Nothing sticks. I would not be surprised if he emerges unscathed from this latest episode of oxymorons.
Well, this is just going from strength to strength, with the Democrat Party members now wanting Trump's security service and translators to testify and provide some transcripts of what was actually said during that meeting with Putin. Do you think that's going to help anything?
It's going to help the Democrats get a case, because they've been operating unconstitutionally and illegally without even basic substance that you would need to prove probable cause. Trump has not, to date, been proven of any sort of illegal, conspiratorial, or federal crime involving Russia.
He underlines the word his intelligence. Can we read into that at all?
You have to actually read Obama's January 6th assessment. That's the assessment that everybody's referring to. And there weren't 17 agencies in agreement. There were 3. And the NSA, which actually decodes Russian signals, okay, said they were not confident at all that there was any Russian involvement. President Obama himself said that there was no tampering that affected votes or that affected the integrity of the election. I mean, let's be honest. The U.S. and Russia tamper in each other's politics and intervene all the time. So to call out this particular election because of its convenience to Hillary Clinton is a bit short-sighted.
John Griffing, media contributor, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Facebook won't approve my ad for this podcast. Apparently, what the Russian press thinks of Trump is dangerous information.
There's this double standard. If you want to break the rules to help defend freedom, okay, which is really not possible, that's illogical. They've constantly lived in this state of a false reality where it's okay to propagandize and to blanket the rest of the world with a CIA-funded message, but it's not okay for Russia to finance or to partially even finance a great television network that's competitive with the BBC for news and information. Why is that not okay?
The state capital of Texas may have to rethink its name. A report by the Equality Office in Austin suggests taking a closer look because the city's named after a supporter of slavery. Naming the city after the state founder is common sense, says media relations consultant and Austin resident John Griffing.
You've got this push in Texas to try to, be careful not to offend anybody. But Texas is offensive because liberty's offensive. The fact that Texas is named, that its capital city is named for the person that started the colony in Texas that became the state, that's common sense. The city council here in Austin has made a few very bad decisions, like banning Uber. So the city council would rather waste taxpayer money on frivolous ideas like this than actually doing real work.